the channel. You already know who it is. It's Ron Tom from Wrench-a-holics, and today we are about to install this JDM ETC. Pretty much it's just gonna have some Japanese girl talking Japanese gibberish that I don't know, but it sounds cool. But yeah, sorry for the late videos. Life happens, I can't do anything about it. But we are back and we're gonna go install this bad boy with just 3 simple wires. We're good to go. So pretty much you're going to be buying these used, or if you have a way of getting them new, get them new. Pretty much what an ETC is basically a card reader that allows you to go through the toll road in Japan, and then pretty much when you go through it, it charges your card and then you're good to go. You hop on the toll. But the cool thing about it is that pretty much when you wire everything up, there's going to be like a little, a Japanese lady that pretty much says hi to you, and then pretty much tells you don't forget to insert your ETC card when you drive, so that when you go on the toll road you don't get busted for not having it. But it's a pretty simple install. It's pretty much the unit, the speaker, and the wiring. So hook up the 3 wiring and then test it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the wiring. I'm pretty much gonna be using my radio. You need a ground, you need a positive, and you also need like an ignition switch. And once you get that all figured out, you're good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into the 240 right now and try to figure out which wire controls what, hook it up, test it, and make sure we hear some Japanese gibberish, because why not? It's JDM. So if you're not really good with wiring, I highly suggest you learn how to use a multimeter. This is pretty much gonna allow you to find out what wire has a constant 12 volt and also which wires are ground, and so on and so forth. I'm not really going to go into specifics on how to use this. It can be complicated if you don't even know the first steps about using it, but it's a very good tool in order to diagnose and also figure out what wires what. So we're going to go ahead and use this multimeter. I plan on using the radio wiring again, but I don't know. I can also use my ignition switch wiring. We are just going to have to play it by ear once we get into the car to see which wires I want to go ahead and tap into. So we're going to pretty much use this wiring. So first things first is you got to get everything out the way. If you don't have a quick release, it's going to be kind of hard. You got to take off the panel, which is super easy. I don't ever bolt these down anymore because I'm behind this cluster here so many times that it's not even worth my time to bolt them up. So there it is, and there it is. So pretty much what we're looking at is the ignition switch harness, which is this guy right here, this brown cord. I do have a turbo timer, so I believe the harness for the turbo timer is right here. Bingo. So we can pretty much use this wiring right here as our source of power, ground, and ignition switch. So we're gonna go ahead and see what wires does what, and we're gonna go from there. So let me try to figure that out real quick, and then I'll get back to you. Continuity. Disconnected the ignition switch harness from my turbo timer harness, and what we're doing is we're trying to probe for the ground. We're going to start off with ground. I have the multimeter pretty much set to continuity, which basically means if 2 wires are connected, or if 1 wire is connected, if you put these probes in 1 on each end, if the wire is pretty much not broken, it'll make a noise. So pretty much ground it out, and what I'm doing is I'm probing the pinouts here to find out which one will make the noise. So making the noise would tell me that that is the ground, and that's going to be our ground signal or ground source for the wire. Alright, so I have 2 possible grounds on this harness. So what I'm going to do is try to figure out which one is the best one that I can use. So based on that, I think I'm going to use this bottom one right here, because that's a ground. So that's one wire figured out. Now I have to find a wire that's a constant 12 volt. So pretty much you're gonna go to volts under DC, direct current, and you're gonna be probing the harness to make sure, or also you're gonna be probing the harness, probing the pinout to make sure you get a 12 volt signal. That 12 volt is going to be your constant 12, meaning the car is in the off position, the car has no power. If you do find a 12 volt, that's also known as like a hot signal. It's always 12 volts every single time. So we're going to go ahead and try to find out which one is a 12 volt. So to do this test, just take the black lead and ground it. You can use the same one you did if you're going to, you test it for continuity. So you ground it, and what we're doing is looking for 12 volts on the multimeter. So we're going to go ahead and probe again and look for 12 volts. I think I just found it. Yeah. So based on this pinout, this top left pinout right here, this prong shows 12 volts in the off position. So pretty much that right there is going to be my 12 volt constant signal. So we found ground. We found 12 volt constant, meaning the car is in the off position. Now we have to find a 12 volt trigger or a switch. Pretty much that's when you turn the car on, and one of these probes is going to show no volts until you hit that on position or accessory or whichever it is. You hit that on, and then it's going to flicker 12 immediately. Once that flickers 12, that could be a good source for your ignition switch. So we are not going to be using the wiring coming from the ignition harness, only because I have a constant and a ground, but the thing is I don't have a 12 volt ignition switch somewhere. I was planning on using my turbo timer harness, but that didn't work. So I don't want to have like split harnesses, so where I'm like grabbing two wires from here and one wire from my double DIN. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be using the double DIN harness, because that has everything I need in order for it to work. So to get there, obviously we got to take off the shifter trim, the shifter, and then obviously take out the double DIN and go through there. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'll get back to you once I get back there. We already took off the shifter, we took off the shifter trim. Next we got to take out the radio, and the radio is held on by 4 little screws. So once you take that out, then you'll be able to take out your double DIN, your single DIN with the little cup holder or a little pocket. Basically you just got to get access to the back of your head unit. So we're going to go ahead and take it off. Alright, so we took off the screws. Now we're going to take out the head unit. So this is pretty much what we want. The honey hole of all your wiring for the head unit and other accessories. It's a mess back here. It's the reason why I didn't want to use it, but it's what I had to do. So we will go from here. I'll get back to you once I find the wires I need. Alright, so this is the wiring harness that comes from the ETC. So pretty much you're gonna have a wire that connects to the ETC, or a plug-in I should say, and another plug-in that connects to the ETC, so it'll be 2 of them. One controls the microphone, the speaker, and the other one controls the unit. So pretty much it's the basic wiring. It's going to be a power ground and a 12 volt switch. So based on my research, we would think that red is the constant, but unfortunately it's the yellow one is the constant. So black is ground, red is the switch, and yellow is the 12 volt constant. You can pretty much tell that by it having the actual fuse right here. So we're gonna tap these into the existing harness on the radio, and everything should be good to go. If you're fortunate enough to still have the manual for your double din, if you did an aftermarket install on a radio, you just have to go ahead and look at the power, ground, and switch source, and pretty much tap into that. So based on mine, it's pretty much going to be, let's see, black is going to be the ground, yellow on this one's going to be the constant 12 volt, and red is going to be the switch 12 volts. So all we got to do now is tap into these with the harness that connects to the ETC, and everything should be good to go. So once I connect these wires, we're going to go test it out and see if it works. So I have everything wired up. We're going to go ahead and give it a shot, and hopefully we hear some Japanese gibberish coming out of this speaker, because if it doesn't, then we wired it up wrong. So we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. It's on. Oh damn! Woo! Sweet. Alright, so we got it all fixed. It works. So now we're gonna have to mount the speaker somewhere, and also mount the ETC somewhere, just so we can have it hidden. I mean, I know this mod really isn't a mod. It's just really cool, you know, to have a Japanese like ETC thing in here. Some of you may care less about it. Some of you be like, oh man, that's super JDM. But anyways, you know, it's just the little things to me that make it worthwhile. So again, this is the JDM ETC. It's a pretty self-explanatory thing once you get the wiring down. Basically, I think what she says is just please insert your ETC card, I think in Japanese. I'm gonna go check that out. But if any of you watch this and are in Japan, can you please translate what she just said? So that'd be really cool, so at least I know what she's saying. But yeah, so alright, so I'm pretty much gonna put the speaker right here, right on top of the cluster trim, I should say, so that when the speaker, you know, says something, it actually can echo through, using this as like a, you know, for it to bounce, for the sound waves to bounce off. Normally people would put it over there. It's generally the same idea. The sound waves would bounce off your mirror or your windshield, and then, you know, emit out. So I'm pretty much going to be doing that to this. So we're going to be using like the, you know, the dash and pretty much this area to echo out the speaker. And then as for mounting the actual unit, I'm pretty much going to mount it like right here, just because I can't open my, I can't really use this. It's useless because the cage doesn't allow it to open fully. So that's pretty much the setup. I just need to go to Wally World and grab some of that Velcro, double side, sticky, whatever you want to call it, to hold that down and hold down the actual ETC card unit. And we're all good to go. So that is the video, guys. Thank you for watching. And if you are new to the channel, you stumbled across it, go ahead and give a like, a comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification button, as well as, you know, support the store, support the channel, savageones.bigcartel.com. And there you have it, guys. It was a fun install. It's really something small and subtle. Again, some people would care less about it, and some people do. I, for one, are the people who do care about the little things, and this is pretty much so little that it really doesn't do anything for my car, but it's so cool. So I did it. Thanks you guys for watching, and as always, hype is for the moment and style is forever. Deuces.